everybody. So I'm currently out on the Salt Flats in Utah. It's about 2 hours west of Salt Lake City, and it's one of my favorite spots in the US for sunrise and sunset. I haven't been back here in 6 months because the flats have been wet, so I'm excited to be back. I've been here on 4 separate occasions before this, and every time I've probably seen 10 to 12 cars total the entire day. But this time through, I managed to hit speed week. So I don't know if you can see behind me on the horizon, but there's about 500 cars here, trailers, trucks, crazy rig setups, and everyone's racing right now, which is really cool to see. Just a little different than the past few times I've been. Even though it is a little more crowded, it's still very easy to find some space to yourself on the flats. I think they are 12 miles long, 5 wide, making up 30,000 acres of BLM. And if you don't know what BLM is, it's public land. And public land is great because they're a lot more lenient on where you can camp and where you can drive than national parks or state parks or any of those. But one thing I do want to mention is you cannot camp on the salt flats themselves. There's a couple national forest campgrounds on the way in and public land campgrounds, but you're not allowed to camp specifically on the flats. But even just making it out here during the day is so beautiful. The flats are crazy wild. It almost looks like a desert, but then you realize it's all salt. Tires are wrecked. Make sure you wash your car directly after. Gets in there pretty well. One thing also to take into consideration when coming out to the salt flats is what time of year you come. And I say that because the flats are only dry from late summer, which is right now, to maybe mid-fall. And if you come out here when it's wet, you're not allowed to drive on the flats. And if you do, you run the risk of getting stuck. And I learned that the hard way. I was here last year, a few days before Thanksgiving. I was actually headed back into Salt Lake to fly out back home to Florida. And I was driving past the flats and decided to come out for sunset and made the mistake of driving out, and the center of the flats were dry and everything was fine, but I tried to take a shortcut back to the main road and ended up getting stuck in about 2 feet of this combination of salt and mud and gunk, and I don't even know how to describe it. But it was one of the worst feelings ever. I think it's $700 to get towed out of here. I would have had to spend the night on the flats. I would have missed my flight home to Jacksonville. And I ended up spending about an hour just shoveling out, and then proceeded to spend about 4 hours that night at a car wash in 30-degree weather, spraying out the bottom of the Jeep and trying to get all the salt out. So lesson learned, and for anyone interested in coming to the salt flats, only come when it's very dry, and don't be dumb about driving on the flats like me. But anyways, I think that's enough info on the salt flats themselves. Now I'm going to jump into a frequently asked question I get, and that is, how do I shower while I'm on the road? So there's actually 4 ways that I shower while I've been on the road this past year. The first one I probably use the least out of the 4, and that is showering at state park campgrounds, national park campgrounds, KOAs, or any other campgrounds that offer showers. And I've linked below an app I used called Ultimate Campground. One of the best apps you can download if you're going to do this, or if you're just going camping in any capacity. This app shows you what time of the year these campgrounds are open, how much they cost to stay at, if they have electricity, if they have running water, and most importantly for this, if they have showers. Very rarely do I do a KOA, but I definitely have taken my fair share of showers at state parks. The second way I take a shower, and some people might not consider this an actual shower, but I'll do lakes or rivers or any kind of natural source like that. Obviously during winter I didn't do this much, but it's summer now, and for the past month and a half I've probably been jumping in some kind of body of water every 2 or 3 days. Wouldn't rely on that for showers, obviously, if you're going to do the road, but something really satisfying about jumping in an alpine lake, taking a cold shower really quickly in a river. And definitely one of the things I've enjoyed most about summer is that I've been able to do that more and more often. Third way I take a shower, and this one I probably use the most out of the 4, and this is going to be showering at gyms. So I have this deal with my health insurance, and I've linked it below. I'm not sure if it's just a Florida health insurance thing, but it's called Tivity Health. And I pay $30 a month on top of my health insurance, and that gives me access to 10,000 gyms across the US. I don't know how it works. I don't know how they make money off of this, but somehow I can access Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, Anytime Fitness, a ton of local gyms. For the most part, I'll just come in, say I'm from out of town, show them my Tivity pass, and then I'm taking a shower. Sometimes work out, but to be honest, I usually just go in, shower, and leave, and I always get odd looks. But for $30 a month, I think it's definitely worth it for the road, or just join at Anytime or Planet Fitness. Those are 24-hour gyms where you can just roll into town and take a shower. And then fourth and finally, we have the do-yourself solar shower. So I've seen a ton of versions of these online that run for $300 to $400, but this specifically is based off an REI do-it-yourself video. Probably took me a little under 6 hours to make this completely. One thing I would have changed though, and one thing I want to give you a heads up on, are the caps. You need to get a flat cap. The seal does not work as well with the rounded, and after a few dirt roads in Aspen, this actually broke the seal and was leaking like crazy, so I had to replace that. So make sure you get the flat caps. Other than that, the shower is made out of ABS pipe you just get from Home Depot, and it holds about 4.5 to 5 gallons of water. Another thing you need to get with this shower is a wrench, and you need this wrench to make sure that the cap is airtight, and you can't do that with your hands. Now let's grab the air compressor. I'll hook it up to the 12 volt in the car and show you guys how the shower actually works. Alright, so this is the air compressor. It comes in a little bag. Brand is Audu. Just got it off of Amazon, and the reason I went with this one, it had good reviews and it had a 12-foot cord. So this hooks up to the 12 volt in the car, and then the 12-foot cord allows it to run all the way back to the shower. And I do want to mention that I've also used this for the tires. In case I pressure down to go on sand or anything like that, I can use this to get air back in the tires. It does take a while, but does get the job done if you're out in the middle of nowhere. I use the strap to the tent to hold this up, just like so. That way it hangs here. Then hook this end up to the shower. Now we make sure this is set to 14 or 15. And there we go, pressurized water. So there are two ways to use it. You just saw the first, and that is setting the PSI to 15, letting it run, letting it stop, and then running the shower. And I usually do that to conserve water, so that once the shower depressurizes, the water will die down, you shut it off. Or you can turn on the air compressor, let it start to get to 15, and then turn the shower on, so you get continuous pressure that doesn't stop. That's definitely the more convenient way to shower, but again, I like to try to stretch this to 3 to 4 showers out of one tank. So if you're constantly running it, it runs out much, much quicker. So I would recommend 15 PSI, turn it on, soap up, shut it off, turn it on, off. You get the point. And then last part of the shower that I also have is a hose hookup. And this just runs through the nozzle. And this controls the shower or the hose, shower or the hose. And I use that just if I need to wash off my feet, it's convenient, or just something without having to run the whole shower. And that pretty much wraps up this vlog. You've seen my road shower. I've told you how I showered in rivers, lakes, gyms, campgrounds, all that good stuff. Definitely check out the app I was talking about earlier, Ultimate Campground. It's something I use on a weekly basis and is super helpful. Don't hesitate to ask me questions in the comments, either about this vlog or things you want to see in future vlogs. But other than that, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you found this helpful, and until next time.